Okay, so for this first little bit, I just wanted to go through really a tool roundup. There's a lot of the tools over here in our toolbar that we have used, but there are a couple that we haven't really looked at. The move tool, marquee, lasso, wand we've used, the crop we've used. I'm pretty sure we've used an eyedropper, but just in case we haven't, if you have an image open, let me grab an image real quick, and you wanted a specific color from it, you could click your eyedropper and then touch somewhere out here on the picture, and it will give you a sample of that color. Now when you click down, you'll probably have this big double gray ring around your eyedropper, and if you move around, you'll notice half of it changes color. What that is the bottom half shows the old color selection, or the previous one that you had, and the top half shows the new color that it's selecting right now. If that annoys you, like sometimes it does me, you can actually turn that feature off up here in the control bar by clicking the Show Sample Ring. Another thing you can do is, if you want to zoom in on an image real quick, I can show you a little what I'm going to talk about right here. Where's a good spot? Okay, here's maybe a good spot. When I zoom in really far, I start getting this grid, which is actually the grid between pixels. Right now, my eyedropper is set to sample a single pixel of color. So when I click on that pixel, you can see over here in my foreground color that it changes to that exact color of that one pixel. The problem with this sometimes is when we're looking at an image, what we're actually seeing is a blend of those pixels. Our eyes observe those multiple colors up against each other and see it as kind of a single shade. So if I wanted specifically kind of this mid-purple magenta shade, I might not be able to grab it by just clicking with a single pixel pick. So the way you can change that is to right-click and choose for it to average by 3 by 3 or 5 by 5. So now if I zoom in, and when you zoom in and have that really annoying white grid on top, you can hit Command H to hide it. So I've zoomed in, I've grabbed my eyedropper with a shortcut for which is I. Now when I click on a single color pixel, I get something that is an average of that and the 3 pixels around it. And if I right click again and choose a larger one, I'll get an even larger average. So if I pick maybe a grab my right tool here. If I pick maybe an 11 by 11 average and click on that middle area, the color that I get is going to be closer to what my eyes perceive this area to be instead of that exact pixel. Now, that's something that you'll probably change multiple times if you're working on a project, because sometimes you really do want to pick just exactly that one color. So if I do right click and set my eyedropper to another setting such as 11 by 11, then I usually will right click and set it back to point sample, because if it's something I forget and then come back to a later project and try to pick a specific dot and it won't pick it, it can be really frustrating. So this is another one that's really good to just reset to default when you're done using that function. Point sample. So that is the eyedropper tool. You can turn that off and on. If you have multiple layers going on, you can set it to choose either from the current layer, current, below, all no adjustments, current and below no adjustments. So for example, if you're creating a document, you've got an old picture set up with parchment on top of it set with a blend mode, you know that that blend mode is going to create new colors between that parchment layer and the layer below it. In fact, let me just grab another image real quick, and this is going to be a little bit overwhelming because it is going to be another site. That's what I was working with today. Alright, so I'm pasting this over my other one. I'm going to set my blend mode to something like multiply, because that puts colors together. Let me show you what I mean. So right here, where I can see both of these layers together, it's created a new color that's not actually on either one of those layers. And if I have this set to all layers the way it normally is, that's not a problem. I can sample that color. But if this somehow gets set up to current layer and I click on that, it's actually going to look a lot different in my color box than what it looks on the screen. So if you're not sampling the color that you think you should be getting, come up here and check where this setting is. All layers is a pretty good one to leave it at. I only change this if I'm working for a very specific reason on a project. Sample size, this is the same thing that you got when you right-clicked on it. You can set it to whichever average or leave it at point sample. And that's just about it. That's how you can set your colors. If you want to set the background color, you can hold down Option and it will set the background color, or let go of Option and regular clicking will set your foreground color.